Well, time to look at a few dash cam clips now. Yet again, we'll look at a few areas where it explains why the crash rate doesn't decline. Hello there, welcome. So today we're just going to have a little look through a few of these dash cam clips, and yet again, as we always say, they're not here to shame anybody, they're not here to embarrass anybody or point the finger, but they're here to be maybe learnt from, either to your advantage if you're going to be on the receiving end of some of this driving, or whether actually you might be the person doing this type of thing and getting yourself into a bit of bother. Crash rates seem to be not declining, and there has to be a reason for it, despite the amount of new speed limits restrictions that have been put in, and that is, it's the standard of driving. Now, some of the standard of driving is due to impatience, and some of it is due to lack of training, and some of it is just due to a complete lack of general awareness of what the risk is to you. There's loads of reasons that people do different things that are not actually very helpful to you or your fellow road users. And let's have a look through these. So we'll start off with looking at this bend on a very wet day. With bends, always be concerned with what might be around the corner. There's a few clues there, isn't there, lying on the road as to what may be about to happen. The next issue you've got to think about is, would you get that close to a vehicle and then overtake when you've got absolutely no view whatsoever? You can just see the car up that left hand side approaching. It's all a little bit tight. What would you do? There is a view to the left, but sometimes if we're that far back by the time we come out, it might be a bit more problematic. So it's about maintaining a view to that left, seeing what you can actually see, and then maybe coming out. But overtaking on bends is naturally very hazardous. Just confirming that view before we commit, and away we go. We're going to look at this same bit of road now, coming from the opposite direction. A very dry road this time, with nice sunshine, and as we come around the bend, this is what we find ourselves with. A difficult call really, and perhaps that's why the speed limit's so low on this road at 40 miles an hour. What do you do on a bend that's constantly sweeping? Do you just stay behind the cyclist because you can't get a view? Or do you make a decision to go for it? If the vehicle coming towards the overtaking vehicle was travelling at higher speeds, there'd have been more of an issue. And talking about overtaking, generally speaking, if you're going to overtake something, you shouldn't cause another vehicle to slow down or to change direction. It's a fairly basic one because on your test you will fail. So here we see a cyclist with an oncoming car, and the oncoming car decides to just pull in front of the vehicle, forcing it to brake. And when the headlamps were flashed, the oncoming vehicle also flashed their lights and looked very indignant that they'd been warned of the presence of the other vehicle. Back to school on this one, I think. It's one thing making mistakes, it's quite something else doing something that is technically wrong and failing to appreciate that it's a problem at all, and looking at other people as if they're the issue. Talking about being inconsiderate, this is a little bit on the close side. No big drama, but this is even worse. So whether he's just realised he needs to go off at the last moment or not, it's still wrong, and I'm sure those people waiting are not very happy with him, apart from the fact he's broken the law by crossing the solid white line. This one here we've spoken about so many times before. Clearly these scooter riders are not aware of the problem. It's raining, and look how close he is to that van. If that van had braked, he'd be straight off. So as we come around the bend, look carefully at the corner of the stop junction where that silver car has just come from. Notice how the illegal e-scooter comes straight across the stop line without stopping, and if you look carefully at the rider, They do not even look towards the oncoming traffic. Had that car been less alert, had it been wider, a larger vehicle, a second later, that could have been a fatality. There's absolutely no self-preservation and awareness there whatsoever of that scooter rider. In this one, a car likes to drive down the middle of the road. Just be careful when you come round bends, you never know what's going to happen. And if you are going to go around a bend, don't drive up the middle of the road. Look carefully into the distance of this rear view camera. Notice how clear the road is behind. We're in a 30 limit with lots of little driveways and junctions, and you can see that the road is empty for quite some time behind us. Notice how the car coming behind is really moving. And has to brake quite firmly as it tailgates the vehicle in front. The speed used from there was well in excess of 30 miles an hour, and the vehicle appears to be some form of taxi or private hire. They should know better than to drive at those speeds. If you're carrying passengers, you have a duty of care. You can see there that they're just completely tailgating far too close, firmly on the brakes. Just need to calm it down, keep your distance a little bit. If you're a professional driver, you're supposed to drive to a professional standard. In this next clip, we're going to see yet again another interesting overtake. Now, I recently did a video featuring an overtake almost identical to this one at night. I will leave a link to the video at the end of this video so you can have a watch of it. We won't go into this in lots of detail. So as we approach the roundabout, watch the dark coloured 4x4 that is turning to its right, in other words going ahead of us. So he's just leaving the roundabout now, and he is fairly close to that car in front. Now at this point he decides to pull an overtake. See how close that was to the oncoming vehicle. Goodness knows what they were thinking as they saw him come towards them. It's careless at best, and at worst it's dangerous. All for the sake of a little bit of impatience, you could kill somebody. Just learn a little bit of restraint and don't overtake where you haven't got the view. Well, I hope these clips were useful to you. As always, drive safe and take care.